This time on Sailing Safar, I rejoin the adventures after a few months away and begin a 6-day non-stop solo passage to the Canary Islands. After working at sea for over 3 months, I'm finally back on board Safar, and I felt ashamed that I'd let her get in such a sorry condition. I haven't seen Safar this dirty. She was covered in red rain and a lot of seagull poo. In hindsight, I should have found a local company that could have come by and given her a wash occasionally. Alright, so I got my coffee, got my speaker, got my deck brush, and the hose is plugged in. Time to have at it and make this boat ship shape again. After giving Safar a thorough clean and testing all of her systems, I departed Queensway Quay Marina and headed to the northern anchorage for a night, and then arrived in Alcadessa Marina to await a low pressure system to pass through. Yo, this is crazy! Well, it is the evening before departure, and I'm just checking out the route again on Predict Wind, looking at the weather, and just hoping it all sort of goes to plan, really. Yeah, I won't lie, I'm a little bit sort of anxious about this trip, for many reasons, I guess. One, it's not the perfect weather for this passage. It's going to be a little bit on the nose coming out of the Gibraltar Strait, so that's not necessarily ideal. Two, it's the first time that I've actually done a big passage on board the boat for probably a year now, really, which is also quite sad, I guess, because I love getting underway and actually being at sea and getting into the groove of it. This little bit now where I'm sort of waiting around ready to go, this is the bit that I sort of hate. So yeah, obviously those two reasons, and finally just, I guess, I've done quite a few little things to Safar since my last sort of big passages. Standing rigging has all been replaced, but obviously I've done that. Same with the engine fuel tank. I've had that out of the boat recently, and I've cleaned it all out and reinstalled it and filled it with fuel and stuff again. But yeah, I'm just sort of anxious that I've messed around with the boat a little bit, and so this is obviously going to be a bit of a test to make sure everything all works properly. And yeah, looking at the weather route as well, they're all fairly consistent, and they're sort of all agreeing with each other for the most part. A few areas of red, but that shouldn't get in my way too much. So yeah, I think we just got to get going and see what happens. Well, we are underway. You'll have to excuse me. I've tied the fenders off just to the quarters at the moment. I know that's not my usual style, but just with transiting the Gibraltar Bay now, there's so much going on, so many ships. I just can't. I can't afford to go start sticking them down below. So I'll do that when I've got a bit more time later. But yeah, other than that, you can see we're on our way. The plan is pretty much just to get over to the sort of headland over on the Spanish coast, and we're just going to hug that pretty tightly for the transit down to Tarifa. Now, if I'm being honest, I'm actually a little bit early. You're supposed to leave sort of 2 hours after high water from Gibraltar, and it's about an hour before high water right now. So I am definitely going to be punching a bit of current. I just want to give myself as much time to get out of the strait in daylight hours, and hopefully, you know, transit most of the strait as well if possible, get over to the African coast later, still in the daylight or dusk. We should be making good progress. We're doing 2,100 RPMs, which would normally propel us at about sort of 5 knots. And as you can see, we're doing 0.5 knots. Just shows you how strong the current is here, and how tricky it is to actually leave westbound from Gibraltar. Alright, we've gone for it. We've made the turn and we're crossing the TSS now. As you can see, I'm being closed down by ships. There's a good reason for it. So I'm still punching quite a lot of current here. It was really slowing me down to about sort of 1 knot again. And then I had a look on the tidal atlas, and it's very favourable now over on the other coast. You know, potentially up to 3 knots right now in a westbound direction. So I also had a look on the AIS, and I can see the other sailing boats there are doing, you know, sort of 6-7 knots. So I've decided I'll make the cut across now. There's also a catamaran just off the bow, and I see he's also made the turn, so I just thought, you know, safety in numbers, we'll both cut across together, which is good. Means I can get the Yankee out as well and get some speed up again. So we're doing 5.8 knots. Well, it is about 9 o'clock in the evening, and yeah, we're just beating to windward now, down the sort of Moroccan coast. I'll give you a quick pan of the chart plotter. Yeah, so it's a little bit windy, and it's also a little bit sort of fluky. We've been headed a few times, which is where essentially the boat sort of luffs up, so it turns up into the wind because the wind has perhaps changed direction slightly. And we've had a bit of a, you know, she's accidentally tacked as well as I've sort of left the helm unattended. but she's sailing quite well right now. So we're just coming down this Moroccan coast. I'm gonna have to tack out again shortly, but yeah, I'm just trying to find a bit of room really. Again, there's so many small boats around me. I'm just trying to find, you know, a bit of space where I can put my head down for an hour, you know. Well, I say an hour, I mean like 30 minutes, but you know, I just want to be able to get some sleep, but to be able to do that I need space, you know. Yeah, so far so good. Trucking along right now, 6.7 knots in 20 knots of breeze on the nose. Sea state is good. Everything else is pretty good. Well, good morning. Day number 1. This is day number 2, I guess, technically. So a bit of a rough night. Still sort of a rough morning as well, to be fair. We've got 25 knots right now. 26 knots, and it's on the nose. So we're just slamming into it, pissing it down with rain, and I'm starting to debate my life choices. I'm thinking maybe I am a fair weather sailor. Maybe I don't even like sailing. Maybe I should sell the boat and buy a house. Try and find a hot girlfriend. Have a nice car. But yeah, anyway, we're here right now. We're beating out to the west. I was quite, I wouldn't say close into the coast, but last night I was around all of the shipping traffic, and yeah, it just made for a terrible night's sleep. None of the fishing boats here have AIS either, so it's really difficult to judge which direction they're coming from or where they're going, how fast they're going. They're so illuminated, you don't, I don't even think they display nav lights, or if they do, they're very dim. During the night the autopilot broke, which is annoying because it's snapped somewhere that I can't actually repair it. But I have the old Pilot from the old system on board, and the units themselves look very similar. So I don't know if it'll work or not, but I've just put the plug on the end of it now, off the broken one, and I'll try this to see if it works, because it's going to be a bit hard or a bit tough tomorrow when there's no wind and I need the motor if I haven't got an autopilot. Well, I'll figure that out when it happens. Well, the weather has improved. Looks like well, we still got sort of 17-18 knots, but I think we can shake a reef out now, and we'll just have one reef in the sail. We're flying the full Yankee again now, and we're trucking along. Looking at the AIS, I think we're doing pretty well, considering this 46-foot catamaran. They were actually ahead of us, and we overhauled them overnight. And this water sprite here is also like a 42-foot boat, which is pretty big actually. Let's have a look. What does it say at length? 15 meters. Yeah, so we're doing pretty well in terms of keeping up with people. West wind was way ahead of us yesterday, and they're only about an hour ahead now. Not that it's a race, but it's nice to know that when conditions are a bit rough, Safar sort of holds her own. She She steers a great course, and after tuning the rig since my last passage, you know, she sails like an absolute dream now. The helm's so balanced, which is, yeah, great. So obviously the less rudder she needs to steer, the less drag we have through the water, which is great. Anyway, I'm waffling, so let's get this reef out. It's day 3, and we're just beautifully sailing along right now. We have 13 knots of wind apparent just on the bow, so we're sailing quite close to the wind. We're beating our way, currently steering around about 195 degrees. I say the Aries is actually doing all the work. It just amazes me at how well the Aries steers the boat and how well she can stay on course, really. It's quite light at the moment, so we're cruising along at 5 knots. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. We had to motor overnight as there was no wind. But yeah, other than that, life is good on board right now. Had the drone up earlier, managed to take some good drone shots. Also had to service winch as well this morning, or at least service it as best as I could. Annoyingly, the way the winch is fitted, you can't fully strip it down to get it all the pores inside. So I just had to spray in as much oil as I could inside it. I found that the pores have been sticking a little bit, or not fully closing, so sometimes as you winch it then tries to pull back on you when you let go. But it seems to have resolved the issue for the time being, and when I make a landfall it's something I'll sort out at a later date. But yeah, as far as today goes, I think it's just going to be a bit of a cruisy one, to be honest. A lot of chilling, a few audio books. I'll probably give the rig in a quick check over as well shortly, just to make sure everything's still good. But yeah, life is good.
as you see, we're becalmed again, no wind.